The rain hammered Miami's streets like bullets as Sofia Martinez clutched her purse, running toward the gleaming tower of Santino Enterprises. Her heart pounded, not from the sprint, but from desperation. This job could finally give her twins the stability they deserved. She turned the corner and froze. A man lay motionless on the wet pavement, blood seeping from his head into the storm drain. Designer suit, expensive watch, but unconscious and vulnerable. "Sir? Sir, can you hear me?" Sofia dropped to her knees, her nursing instincts overriding everything else. She checked his pulse, and strong but irregular. A nasty gash above his left temple needed immediate attention. The man's eyes fluttered open, revealing startling green irises. "What?" His voice was rough silk, tinged with an accent she couldn't place. "You're hurt. Don't move." Sofia pressed her scarf against his wound. "I'm taking you somewhere safe." He tried to sit up, wincing. "I don't need... You need medical attention." Her tone brooked no argument. "Can you walk?" Something flickered in those dangerous eyes. Surprise, maybe respect. "Yes." Sofia helped him to his feet, supporting his considerable weight. He was tall, probably 6'2", with broad shoulders and hands that looked like they'd seen violence. But right now he needed help. "There's a diner around the corner," she said, guiding him carefully. "We'll get you cleaned up and call someone." The man, Roberto, he'd mumbled when she asked, studied her face as she tended his wound in the diner's back booth. His scrutiny made her uncomfortable, like he was memorizing every detail. "Why?" he asked suddenly. "Why what? Why help a stranger? In this neighborhood, people cross the street to avoid getting involved." Sofia met his gaze steadily. "Because it's the right thing to do. My mama taught me that everyone deserves compassion." Roberto's expression shifted, something vulnerable flickering across his features before the mask slipped back into place. "Your mama was naive. My mama was wise." Sofia's voice carried quiet strength. "Kindness isn't weakness, Mr. Santino. Roberto Santino." The name meant nothing to Sofia, but she noticed how the diner owner's face went pale when he overheard. Strange. An hour later, Sofia glanced at her phone and gasped. "Oh God, I'm late." She jumped up, gathering her things. "I have to go. My job interview." "What company?" Roberto asked, his voice oddly intent. "Santino Enterprises. It's my last chance. I really need this position." She paused at his expression. "Do you know it?" Roberto's smile was enigmatic. "You could say that." Sofia rushed out, leaving Roberto staring after her with an expression that would have terrified anyone who knew him. But for the first time in years, Roberto Santino felt something other than cold calculation. He pulled out his phone. "Vincent, it's me. Cancel my morning and find out everything about a woman named Sofia Martinez." 2. Sofia's hands trembled as she faced the stern-faced receptionist at Santino Enterprises. The woman's expression could freeze hell. "Ms. Martinez, you're 47 minutes late for your interview." "I know. I'm so sorry. There was an emergency. Mr. Davidson doesn't tolerate tardiness. The position has been filled." The receptionist's dismissal was brutal and final. Sofia felt her world crumble. "Please, I just need 2 minutes to explain. Security will escort you out if necessary." Walking home through Miami's unforgiving heat, Sofia fought back tears. How would she tell Marcus and Michael that Mama failed again? The twins deserved better than their mother's constant struggle to keep them afloat. That evening, Sofia was helping 5-year-old Marcus with his reading when the doorbell rang. Through the peephole, she saw a man in an expensive suit, not Roberto, but someone who radiated the same dangerous authority. "Ms. Martinez, I'm Vincent Torino. I work for Roberto Santino." Sofia's blood chilled. "The man from this morning, how did he find her address? What do you want?" "Mr. Santino would like to speak with you. It's about your employment situation." "I don't understand." Vincent's smile was professionally polite, but his eyes remained cold. "He owns Santino Enterprises, ma'am. He's aware of what happened today." The pieces clicked into place with sickening clarity. Roberto Santino wasn't just some businessman. He was the Roberto Santino. Even Sofia, who avoided the news, had heard whispers about Miami's most powerful man. "Mama?" Michael appeared at her elbow, his dark eyes wide with curiosity. "Who's the man?" Vincent's expression softened slightly. "Beautiful boys. They have your eyes." Protective instincts flared. "Boys, go to your room." "But Mama?" "Now." After they disappeared, Sofia turned back to Vincent. "What does he want?" To make amends for your treatment today, Mr. Santino values and kindness. The way he said it suggested this was unusual. He's prepared to offer you a position. I don't want charity. It's not charity, it's business. Vincent handed her an elegant card. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. Don't be late this time. As his car disappeared into the night, Sophia stared at the address. Roberto Santino's private office. Not the corporate building, but somewhere called the Palazzo. She'd helped a wounded man and somehow landed in the orbit of Miami's most dangerous power broker. Sophia clutched the card, wondering if she'd just made the biggest mistake of her life. But Marcus needed new shoes, and Michael's asthma medication wasn't cheap. Sometimes survival meant dancing with devils. Bantu, Thrattery. The Palazzo wasn't what Sophia expected. Instead of a stark office building, she found herself at an elegant Mediterranean villa overlooking Biscayne Bay. Guards in expensive suits nodded respectfully as she approached, making her feel like Alice tumbling down the rabbit hole. Roberto Santino stood silhouetted against floor-to-ceiling windows, his presence commanding the entire room. Gone was the vulnerable man from yesterday. This was a predator in his natural habitat. "You came," he said without turning around. "You made it difficult to refuse." Now he faced her, and Sophia's breath caught. In the morning light, Roberto was devastatingly handsome. Olive skin, sharp cheekbones, and those penetrating green eyes that seemed to see straight through her defenses. "Sit." He gestured to a leather chair facing his massive desk. Sophia remained standing. "What do you want from me?" A smile tugged at his lips. "Direct. I appreciate that." He moved closer, and she caught his scent. Expensive cologne, with an undertone of something darker. "I want to offer you a job." "Doing what?" "Managing my household staff. The position pays $100,000 annually, plus full benefits and housing allowance." Sophia's knees nearly buckled. It was more money than she'd ever dreamed of. "Why?" "Because yesterday you saw a stranger in need and helped without expectation of reward. That kind of integrity is rare in my world." "And what world is that exactly?" Roberto's eyes hardened slightly. "The kind where power and loyalty matter more than sentiment, where trust is earned with blood and betrayal is punished accordingly." The warning was clear, but Sophia stood her ground. "I have conditions." His eyebrows rose. "You're negotiating with me. My boys come first, always. I won't work nights or weekends without advance notice. And I won't do anything illegal." "Illegal is a flexible concept, Sophia." Her name rolled off his tongue like silk. "But your conditions are acceptable." She studied his face, looking for the catch. "What aren't you telling me?" Roberto moved behind his desk, creating distance. "Working for me comes with certain risks. I have enemies who might view anyone close to me as a target. Are you trying to scare me away? I'm giving you the chance to walk away while you still can." Sophia thought of Marcus's excited chatter about starting soccer, of Michael's dreams of becoming a doctor, of the overdue rent notice hidden in her purse. "When do I start?" Something shifted in Roberto's expression. Surprise, perhaps approval. "Monday. Vincent will handle the details." As Sophia turned to leave, Roberto's voice stopped her. "Sophia?" "Yes?" "Yesterday, in the diner. No one has shown me kindness without wanting something in return for a very long time." Their eyes met across the room, and Sophia felt something dangerous kindle in her chest. Roberto Santino was everything she should avoid. Powerful, dangerous, and utterly magnetic. "Everyone deserves kindness, Mr. Santino. Even you." Long after she left, Roberto stared at the door, her words echoing in his mind. For the first time in 15 years, he wondered if redemption might be possible, even for a man like him. 4. 3 weeks into working at the Palazzo, Sophia had established a comfortable routine. The household staff respected her quiet authority. The pay allowed her to finally breathe financially, and Marcus and Michael were thriving in their new after-school program. But Roberto Santino remained an enigma. He was gone most days, returning late with tension carved into his shoulders. Sometimes she caught him watching her work with an intensity that made her skin tingle. Other times, he'd disappear for days without explanation, leaving only the faint scent of his cologne and strict instructions for Vincent. Today was different. Sophia found Roberto in his study at noon, staring out at the bay with a glass of whiskey despite the early hour. His usually perfect hair was disheveled, his shirt sleeves rolled up, revealing muscled forearms marked with old scars. "Mr. Santino, is everything all right?" He turned. And Sophia was startled by the exhaustion in his eyes. "Rough night. Can I get you anything, coffee, food? Sit with me." The request caught her off guard. "I have work to—" "Please." The word seemed to cost him something. Sophia perched on the edge of the chair across from him. "What's wrong?" Roberto was quiet for so long she thought he wouldn't answer. Then, "Do you ever wonder what your life would be like if you'd made different choices? Every parent does. I wonder what would have happened if I'd finished nursing school before getting pregnant, if their father had stayed, if I'd been stronger." "You are strong." His voice carried quiet conviction. "You've raised 2 remarkable boys alone, worked multiple jobs, never gave up. That's not weakness, Sophia, that's heroic." Heat rose in her cheeks. "You don't know me. I know enough." Roberto leaned forward, his green eyes intense. "I know you sing while you work. I know you save every penny but bought Marcus those expensive soccer cleats because his old ones had holes. I know you read to Michael every night even when you're exhausted because he has nightmares." Sophia's breath caught. "You've been watching me. I watch everything that matters to me." The admission hung between them, charged with implications. Sophia should leave, should maintain professional distance. Instead, she found herself moving closer. "Roberto." His name felt dangerous on her lips. "I scare you." "Yes." "Good. You should be scared." But he made no move to retreat as she approached his chair. "I'm not a good man, Sophia. The things I've done. I don't care about your past." "You should." Sophia reached out, her fingers barely grazing his cheek. "Maybe. But right now you look like a man who needs someone to remind him he's human." Roberto caught her hand, pressing her palm against his face. His skin was warm, slightly rough with afternoon stubble. "You have no idea what you're doing to me." I could say the same thing. The space between them disappeared. Roberto's hand slid into her hair, and Sophia's world narrowed to the warmth of his breath against her lips, the dangerous promise in his eyes. The study door burst open. "Boss, we have a problem." Vincent stopped short, taking in the intimate scene. Reality crashed back. Sophia jerked away, her cheeks burning. I have things to—" She fled, leaving Roberto staring after her with an expression Vincent had never seen before. "What's the problem?" Roberto's voice was deadly calm. "The Delacroix family is making moves against our shipping operations." Roberto's eyes went cold. "Then it's time to remind them why that's a mistake." Number 5. The roses arrived the next morning. 24 red beauties with a simple card. "Forgive my boldness. R." Sophia touched the velvet petals, her heart racing as she remembered the heat in Roberto's eyes, the gentle strength of his hands. She'd barely slept, replaying those charged moments in his study. "Mama, who sent the pretty flowers?" Michael asked, his asthma better today but still speaking in soft whispers. "A friend, baby." "Must be a really good friend," Marcus observed with 5-year-old wisdom. "Those are expensive flowers." Before Sophia could respond, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Hello? Sophia Martinez?" The voice was female, cultured, with a slight French accent. "Yes? My name is Carmen Delacroix. I think we need to talk." Sophia's blood chilled. Even she knew that name. The Delacroix family controlled half of Miami's underground. "I don't think—" "About Roberto Santino. About the danger you and your beautiful boys are in." The line went dead. Sophia stared at the phone, her hands shaking. She tried calling back. Number disconnected. But the message was clear. They knew about her children. That afternoon, Sophia couldn't concentrate on work. Every shadow seemed threatening. Every car that passed the villa made her jump. When Roberto returned early, she was waiting in his study. "We need to talk," she said without preamble. Roberto took one look at her face and moved to the bar. "What happened?" "Someone called me today, Carmen Delacroix." Roberto went very still, the whiskey bottle frozen halfway to his glass. "What did she say?" "That my boys and I are in danger because of you." "Son of a bitch." Roberto slammed the bottle down. "Vincent!" His lieutenant appeared instantly. "Boss? Where are Sophia's children right now?" "At the after-school program, like always." "Why?" "Double the security detail. Immediately." Sophia's heart hammered. "Roberto, what's going on?" He turned to her, his face a mask of controlled fury. "Carmen Delacroix is my former associate. Our business relationship ended badly." "Associate?" "She was my lover. For 3 years." The words came out flat, emotionless. "When I ended things, she didn't take it well." Jealousy twisted in Sophia's chest, which was ridiculous. What does she want? To hurt me through you? Roberto's jaw clenched. She's declared war and you've become a target by association. Then I quit. It's too late for that. Roberto moved to the window, his body tense with barely contained violence. She's seen us together. Knows you matter to me. Walking away won't protect you now. Matter to you? Sophia's voice was barely a whisper. Roberto turned, and the raw honesty in his eyes stole her breath. More than I've allowed anyone to matter in 15 years. Roberto, I won't let anything happen to you or your boys. I promise you that. What if your promises aren't enough? He crossed the room in 3 strides, cupping her face in his hands. Then I'll burn this entire city down to keep you safe. The fierce protectiveness in his voice should have terrified her. Instead, Sophia felt something deep inside her respond to his intensity, his absolute determination to shield her from harm. I'm scared, she whispered. Good. Fear will keep you alive. Roberto's thumb traced her cheek. But trust me to handle this. Sophia searched his eyes, seeing the deadly predator beneath the surface, but also something else. A man who would kill or die to protect what he claimed as his. I trust you, she said, sealing both their fates. Dauphins. 6. The attack came at dawn. Sophia woke to the sound of shattering glass and armed men's voices echoing through the villa. Thank God the boys were safe. She'd arranged for them to spend the night at their friend Diego's house after yesterday's threats. She grabbed the baseball bat Roberto had insisted she keep by her bed and crept toward the bedroom door. Through the crack, she could see 3 men in black masks systematically searching the guest wing. Where is she? One of them growled in accented English. Boss said the woman would be here, another replied. Keep looking. Sophia's heart hammered against her ribs. They were looking for her specifically. She thought of Marcus and Michael safe at Diego's house, probably just waking up for Saturday morning cartoons. Unaware their mother was in mortal danger. Found her! The bedroom door exploded inward. Sophia swung the bat with desperate strength, catching the first man in the shoulder. He stumbled but didn't go down, and suddenly hands grabbed her, wrestling the weapon away. Let go of me, she screamed, fighting against their grip. That's when the cavalry arrived. Roberto burst through the hallway like an avenging angel, Vincent and 2 other men flanking him. The villa erupted into chaos. Gunshots, shouts, the sound of bodies hitting walls. One of the intruders grabbed Sophia, pressing a gun to her temple. Back off, Santino, or your woman dies. Roberto's transformation was instant and terrifying. His eyes went cold as winter, his voice dropping to a deadly whisper. You made a mistake coming here. You made a bigger mistake touching what's mine. I said back off. Release her and I'll give you a 5-second head start, Roberto said with calm certainty. Keep holding her and I'll make sure you die slowly. The standoff lasted only moments. Roberto's shot was precise, the man's wrist forcing him to drop his weapon. As Sophia broke free, Vincent and the others moved with lethal efficiency. Silence fell like a hammer. Are you hurt? Roberto was at her side instantly, his hands gentle as they checked for injuries. No, The boys are safe at Diego's house just like you planned, Roberto assured her, pulling her against his chest. Smart thinking, Amor. Sophia melted into his embrace, her adrenaline finally crashing. I was so scared. I know, I'm sorry. This should never have happened. An hour later, the boys were safely reunited with Sophia at a secure safe house, confused but unharmed. Roberto knelt down to their level, his dangerous reputation forgotten in the face of their innocent trust. Are you okay, Mr. Roberto? Marcus asked with 5-year-old concern. Mama said there were bad men. The bad men are gone now, Roberto said gently, and they can't hurt anyone anymore. Later, as Sophia and Roberto stood on the safe house balcony overlooking the bay, the morning sun painting the water gold, she finally understood the true cost of loving a man like him. This is my fault, Sophia said quietly. I should have stayed away from you. Don't. Roberto's voice was sharp. Don't you dare blame yourself for their violence. If I hadn't helped you that day, if you hadn't helped me, I'd probably be dead. Roberto turned her to face him, and I'd have never known what it felt like to want to be better than I am. Sophia searched his eyes. What happens now? Now I end this war before it truly begins. Roberto's hands framed her face. But first, he kissed her with desperate intensity, pouring 15 years of isolation and longing into the connection between them. Sophia melted into him, her hands fisting in his shirt as she kissed him back with equal hunger. When they broke apart, both were breathing hard. I love you. Roberto said simply. "I know it's insane. I know it's dangerous. But I love you, Sofia Martinez." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "I love you too. God help me, but I do." "Then marry me." Sofia's eyes widened. "Roberto, marry me. Be my wife. Let me be a father to your boys. Let me protect you the only way I know how, by making you mine completely. People will say I'm only after your money. Let them talk." Roberto's smile was fierce with possessiveness. "You saved my life in more ways than one. Now let me save yours." Sofia thought of Marcus's excitement about Roberto teaching him to fish, of Michael's trust in this dangerous man who'd shown them nothing but gentleness, of the life she could give them as Roberto's wife. "Yes," she whispered. Roberto kissed her again, sealing a bargain that would either be their salvation or their destruction. Either way, there was no going back now. 7. The wedding preparations began immediately. Roberto wasn't taking any chances. The ceremony would happen within the week before Carmen could orchestrate another attack. Sofia stood in the exclusive bridal boutique, watching her reflection in a mirror surrounded by armed guards, disguised as sales assistants. The ivory silk gown was stunning, but the surreal circumstances made her feel like she was starring in someone else's life. "Mama looks like a princess," Michael's excited whisper carried across the private fitting room. Both boys had been thrilled by Roberto's proposal, especially when he'd knelt down and formally asked their permission to marry their mother. "You look beautiful, Emma," Roberto said softly, appearing behind her in the mirror. Even after days together, his presence still made her pulse race. "This feels like a dream," Sofia murmured, adjusting the delicate lace sleeves. "Good dreams or bad dreams?" She turned to face him. "I'm marrying a man I've known for a month, who happens to be Miami's most powerful crime boss, while his ex-lover plots our destruction. You tell me." Roberto's smile was wry. "When you put it that way." Their moment was interrupted by Vincent's urgent approach. "Boss, we have a situation." Roberto's expression immediately hardened. "What now?" "Carmen's made contact with the Torino brothers in New York. They're flying in tonight." Sofia felt the blood drain from her face. "What does that mean?" "It means she's calling in reinforcements," Roberto said grimly. "The Torinos owe her favors from the old days." "How many men?" "At least 20. Professional soldiers, not street thugs." Roberto was quiet for a long moment, his jaw working as he calculated odds and options. "Move up the timeline. We marry tomorrow." "Tomorrow?" Sofia's voice pitched higher. "Roberto, that's impossible. Nothing's impossible when you have unlimited resources and motivated staff." His green eyes held dangerous determination. "Carmen thinks time is on her side. We're going to prove her wrong." That evening, Sofia sat in Roberto's study while he worked the phones, orchestrating their wedding with military precision. She watched him command respect and immediate action from everyone he contacted: florists, caterers, officiants, security teams. "The judge will perform the ceremony at the villa," Roberto said, hanging up from his latest call. "Small guest list, just family and essential personnel." "I don't have family to invite," Sofia said quietly. Roberto's expression softened. "You have us now. Vincent's standing as my best man, and Maria from the kitchen staff volunteered to be your matron of honor. What about Carmen? Let me worry about Carmen." Roberto moved to her chair, taking her hands. "Tomorrow, you become Sofia Santino. That name carries protection no one in this city would dare challenge. And if something happens to you, it won't. But if it does," Roberto silenced her with a kiss, gentle but insistent. "Have faith in me, Amo. I didn't survive 15 years in this business by being careless." Sofia searched his eyes, seeing the absolute confidence that made him so formidable. "I love you," she whispered. "I love you too. And tomorrow, the whole world will know it." Outside, Carmen Delacroix watched the villa through high-powered binoculars, her beautiful face twisted with rage. Tomorrow's wedding would never happen. She'd make sure of that. 8. The morning of the wedding dawned clear and bright, Miami's skyline sparkling like diamonds against the azure sky. Sofia woke in the guest wing of the villa, having spent the night apart from Roberto at his insistence. "Some traditions are worth keeping," he'd said with a smile. Maria helped her dress, chattering excitedly in rapid Spanish about romance and fate. The boys looked heartbreakingly handsome in their tiny tuxedos, their dark hair slicked back and eyes shining with excitement. "Mama, are we going to live here forever now?" Marcus asked, bouncing on his toes. "Yes, Baby, this is our home now. And Roberto's gonna be our new papa. Sophia's throat tightened with emotion. If you want him to be. We already asked him, Michael said matter-of-factly. He said yes, but only if we promised to help him take care of you. You did you? Uh-huh. And he's gonna teach us to drive boats and play poker, but not till we're older. Sophia laughed despite her nerves. I'll bet he is. The ceremony was set for noon in the villa's garden overlooking the bay. As Sophia descended the staircase, her breath caught at the transformation. White roses and orchids everywhere, strings of lights creating magic even in daylight. And Roberto. He stood at the improvised altar in a midnight blue suit, his green eyes locked on her with such intensity that everyone else faded away. This dangerous, powerful man who commanded fear and respect throughout Miami was looking at her like she was his salvation. The judge began the ceremony, but Sophia barely heard the words. She was lost in Roberto's gaze, in the promise she saw there of protection, passion, and permanence. Do you, Sofia Elena Martinez, take Roberto Alessandro Santino to be your lawfully wedded husband? I do. Do you, Roberto Alessandro Santino, take Sofia Elena Martinez to be your lawfully wedded wife? I do. Roberto's voice carried absolute certainty. You may kiss your bride. Roberto's hands framed her face as he kissed her with tender reverence, sealing their union before God and witnesses. When they broke apart, Sophia saw moisture in his eyes. Mrs. Santino, he whispered against her lips. Mr. Santino, she whispered back. The reception was intimate but elegant, just 30 guests enjoying champagne and the best Cuban food Sophia had ever tasted. She watched Roberto interact with the boys, teaching them to dance with their new stepmother, and felt her heart overflow. But the perfect day shattered when Vincent approached during the cake cutting, his face grim. Boss, we've got movement. Perimeter guards spotted vehicles approaching from 3 directions. Roberto's transformation was instant, from loving husband to lethal predator. How many? At least 40 men. They're surrounding the compound. Sophia's blood turned to ice. The boys are already being moved to the safe room, Roberto assured her. Vincent, initiate lockdown protocol. Sirens began wailing as metal shutters slammed down over windows, and armed men took positions throughout the villa. Sophia found herself in Roberto's study, still in her wedding dress, watching her husband prepare for war. Stay here, Roberto commanded, checking his weapons with practiced efficiency. No matter what you hear, don't leave this room until I come for you. Roberto, please. He crossed to her in 2 strides, kissing her hard and desperate. I love you, Mrs. Santino, remember that. Then he was gone, leaving Sophia alone with the sound of gunfire beginning outside. Her wedding day had become a battlefield. 9. The siege lasted 3 hours. Sophia huddled in Roberto's reinforced study, listening to the sounds of warfare raging outside, automatic gunfire, shouted orders, the occasional explosion that shook the villa's walls. Through the bulletproof windows she caught glimpses of the battle. Roberto's men were outnumbered, but held superior defensive positions. Still, Carmen's forces pressed closer with each assault wave. Sophia's phone buzzed. Unknown number. Hello, she whispered. Enjoying your wedding day, querida? Carmen's voice was silk over steel. What do you want? What I've always wanted. Roberto's complete destruction. Gunfire echoed through the phone from Carmen's location. But I'll settle for his new wife's death. You're insane. I'm heartbroken. There's a difference. Carmen's laugh was bitter. Do you know how long Roberto and I were together? 3 years. 3 years of promises, of plans for the future, of believing I was the only woman who could reach his heart. That's in the past. The past is all I have left. Carmen's composure cracked. He threw me away like garbage the moment his precious guilt became too much to bear. Guilt? He never told you? About Maria Santos? Sophia's blood chilled. Who? His first wife. The woman he got killed with his carelessness. Just like he's going to get you killed. The line went dead, leaving Sophia staring at the phone in horror. First wife. Roberto had been married before. The study door burst open. Roberto stood there, blood on his shirt and fury in his eyes. Are you hurt? No. But Roberto, we need to move. Now. He grabbed her hand, pulling her toward a hidden panel in the wall. Carmen's breached the east wing. Roberto, wait. She told me about Maria Santos. Roberto went rigid. What did she say? That Maria was your wife. That you got her killed. Pain flashed across Roberto's features. Not here. Not now. Yes, here. Yes, now. Sophia planted her feet, forcing him to face her. If I'm going to die today, I deserve to know the truth. Roberto's composure cracked. Maria was my wife. 5 years ago. Carmen was supposed to handle security for Maria's charity gala, but she was distracted by jealousy. She pulled half the guards for a personal vendetta against a rival family. Sophia's heart clenched. What happened? Enemies of mine attacked the gala. Maria died in the crossfire, along with 12 innocent people. Roberto's voice was raw with old pain. It was my fault for trusting Carmen with something so important. And Carmen blames you for ending things after that? She blames me for everything. For Maria's death, for her exile from Miami, for the fact that she can never come home while I'm alive. Understanding dawned. She's not trying to steal you back. She's trying to make you suffer like she has. By taking away everyone I love. Roberto cupped her face. Which is why we're leaving. Now. But as they reached the hidden passage, explosions rocked the villa. Through the smoke and chaos, Carmen Delacroix appeared in the doorway, flanked by armed men and wearing a smile that promised death. Going somewhere, Roberto? Dark 110. Hello, Amor, Carmen purred, her weapon trained on Sophia's heart. Did you miss me? Roberto stepped protectively in front of his wife. Let her go, Carmen. Your fight is with me. Oh, but that's where you're wrong. Carmen's beauty was marred by madness, her dark eyes glittering with unstable fury. My fight is with everything you love, everyone you care about, every moment of happiness you think you deserve. Carmen, please, please? She laughed, the sound sharp as breaking glass. Did Maria say please when your enemies put bullets in her chest? Did I say please when you cast me out like a diseased whore? Sophia felt Roberto tense, his hand moving slowly toward his concealed weapon. She had to keep Carmen talking, distracted. He told me what happened to Maria, Sophia said carefully. How you were supposed to protect her. Carmen's face twisted. I was protecting what mattered. Roberto was slipping away from me, inch by inch, day by day. He was choosing duty over love, business over passion. I couldn't let him throw away what we had for some charity princess who didn't understand his world. So you let her die. I let fate decide. Carmen's voice rose to a shriek. If Roberto truly loved her, he would have saved her himself. Roberto's voice was deadly quiet. I did love her, Carmen, just like I love Sophia now, and just like I never, ever loved you. The words hit Carmen like physical blows. Her composure shattered completely, tears streaming down her face as she raised her gun with shaking hands. Then you can watch her die too. Roberto moved faster than thought, throwing himself between Carmen and Sophia as the gunshot exploded through the study. Blood bloomed across his chest as he collapsed, and Sophia's scream tore through the air. Roberto! Carmen stared at her smoking weapon in shock, as if surprised by her own actions. No, that wasn't. I wanted him to suffer, not... Vincent burst through the door with reinforcements, taking in the scene instantly. Carmen's men were overwhelmed in seconds, but the damage was done. Sophia knelt beside Roberto, pressing her hands against the wound in his chest. Don't you dare leave me, she whispered fiercely. Don't you dare. Roberto's eyes found hers, bright green, dimming with blood loss. The boys are safe. Vincent has them. Love you, he gasped. Always. Love you. I love you too. Stay with me, Roberto, stay with me. Carmen watched from where Vincent's men held her, her face crumbling as she saw the true consequences of her revenge. I never meant, Roberto, I never meant for this. But Roberto's eyes had closed, his breathing shallow and labored. Sophia looked up at Vincent through her tears. Hospital, now. Already called. Choppers landing in 2 minutes. As the medical team loaded Roberto onto a stretcher, Sophia gripped his hand with desperate strength. You promised me forever, she whispered. You promised. The helicopter lifted off into the Miami sunset, carrying Sophia's world in the balance. 11. The surgery took 8 hours. Sophia sat in the private waiting room of Miami General's VIP wing, still in her blood-stained wedding dress, watching the clock tick away the minutes of uncertainty. Marcus and Michael slept curled against her sides, exhausted by the day's trauma, but refusing to leave their new stepfather. Vincent stood guard at the door, his usually impassive face showing signs of strain. He's going to be okay, right, Mama? Michael whispered, his asthma making his voice even softer than usual. He has to be, baby. He promised. Dr. Rodriguez emerged at 3 a.m., surgical scrubs stained with Roberto's blood. Sophia's heart stopped as she searched his face for answers. He's alive, the doctor said without preamble. The bullet missed his heart by millimeters, but there was significant damage to his lung and shoulder. The next 24 hours are critical. Can I see him? He's sedated, but yes, family only. Sophia stood on shaking legs. Boys, stay with Vincent. But Mama, please, Marcus, I need to see him alone first. Roberto looked so pale against the white hospital sheets, machines beeping steadily around him. Tubes and wires connected him to life support, and the sight nearly brought Sophia to her knees. She took his hand carefully, mindful of the IV lines. I'm here, she whispered. I'm right here, and I'm not going anywhere. His fingers twitched slightly, and Sophia's heart leapt. Roberto, can you hear me? Green eyes fluttered open, unfocused but aware. Sophia? Yes, Amor, I'm here. Boys, okay? They're fine. Worried about you, but fine. Tears streamed down her face. You scared me. Roberto tried to smile, wincing at the effort. Sorry, about wedding. Don't you apologize for saving my life. Sophia leaned closer, careful not to disturb his injuries. The wedding was perfect until the gunfight. Carmen, in federal custody. Vincent made sure she'll never hurt anyone again. Roberto's eyes closed in relief. Good. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, Roberto drifting in and out of consciousness, while Sophia held his hand and watched him breathe. Each rise and fall of his chest was a small miracle. Sophia? His voice was stronger now. Yes? Need to tell you something. It can wait until you're better. No. Roberto's grip on her hand tightened slightly. Before Carmen, before the shooting, there was something else. Sophia's stomach clenched. What? FBI has been investigating my businesses. Vincent thinks someone on the inside, feeding them information. Roberto, you need to rest. Listen. His eyes opened. Green fire despite his weakness. If something happens to me, Vincent has instructions. You and the boys will be protected. Will, always. Nothing's going to happen to you. Promise me. Roberto's voice carried desperate urgency. Promise you'll let Vincent help you if... I promise. Sophia kissed his forehead gently. But you're going to be fine. We're going to have our honeymoon in Italy, and you're going to teach the boys to sail. And we're going to grow old together, arguing about who controls the remote. Roberto's smile was real this time. Sounds perfect. As he drifted back to sleep, Sophia settled into the chair beside his bed for what would be the longest night of her life. But he was alive. They were all alive, and sometimes that was enough for a new beginning. 12. 3 months later, Roberto stood on the deck of his yacht, watching Sophia teach Marcus and Michael to cast fishing lines. His shoulder still ached sometimes, especially when storms approached, but he was alive and surrounded by the family he'd never thought he deserved. So you're thinking too hard again, Sophia said, approaching with that knowing smile he'd fallen in love with. Just watching my wife be amazing with our sons. Our sons? Sophia raised an eyebrow. They asked me to adopt them legally last week. I said yes, pending your approval, Mrs. Santino. Sophia's eyes filled with happy tears. Of course I approve. Roberto pulled her into his arms, careful of his healing shoulder. The federal investigation had resulted in several arrests among his lower-level associates, but Roberto himself had negotiated immunity in exchange for information about larger criminal networks. It was a new beginning, legitimate businesses, clean money, and a future free from the shadows that had defined his past. Carmen's sentencing is next week, he said quietly. 25 to life, Vincent said. She'll serve every day of it. But Sophia, I need you to know something about that night. Sophia looked up at him. What? When she shot me? When I threw myself in front of you. It wasn't heroic, it was selfish. Roberto's voice was soft but intense. I couldn't live in a world without you in it. I'd rather die first. That's the most romantic thing anyone's ever said to me. It's the truth. Sophia stood on her toes to kiss him, tasting salt air and promises on his lips. Good thing you're stuck with me forever then. Papa Roberto, Marcus called from the fishing area. I caught something. That's my boy, Roberto said, the words carrying weight beyond their surface meaning. Coming, as they helped Marcus reel in his first fish. Sophia watched her husband transform into the father her boys had always needed, patient, encouraging, proud of their smallest accomplishments. That evening, after the boys were asleep in their yacht cabins, Sophia and Roberto sat on deck under the Miami stars. The city sparkled in the distance, but out here on the water, they were just a family finding peace. "Any regrets?" Roberto asked, his arm around her shoulders. "About marrying a reformed crime boss after knowing him for a month? About having my wedding day turn into a war zone? About falling in love so hard it scared me?" Sophia pretended to consider. "None whatsoever." "Good, because I have plans for us, Mrs. Santino." "Such as?" "Teaching the boys to drive boats like I promised, expanding the legitimate business into the Caribbean, maybe adding to our family in a year or two." Sophia's breath caught. "More children? If you want them. A little girl who looks just like her mama, perhaps." "I love you, Roberto Santino." "I love you too, Sophia Santino, more than I ever thought possible." As the yacht rocked gently on Miami's crystalline waters, Sophia reflected on the twists of fate that had brought them together. She'd helped a wounded stranger and found her soulmate. She'd risked everything for love and gained a family. Sometimes the most dangerous gambles led to the greatest rewards, and sometimes, if you were very lucky, love really could conquer all. Roberto pressed a kiss to her hair, already planning their future, one filled with laughter, safety, and the kind of happiness he'd thought was only for other people. "Forever?" he whispered. "Forever," Sophia confirmed. The stars reflected on the water like scattered diamonds, blessing a love born from danger and sealed in blood, tears, and unshakable faith. It was, Roberto thought as he held his wife close, the perfect ending to their beginning.